You're listening to Oppositional Forces. Bad guys for good reasons. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back.
Surprise!
You can't keep a good dog down. But I mean, on a slightly more serious note, we're sorry and we missed you.
We are such bad hosts.
I am Scotty Don't, and with me in the rage room is our ever pleasant and happy Mr. Frost. Mr. Frost, say hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm a little worse for wear, but I'm alive and kicking.
And in your new house.
I'm in my new house, and we had Jesus.
Oh, Jesus.
We had a lot of moving parts the last once we looked at our calendars tonight, a month.
All right.
Mr. Frost has been running around and doing the damn thing, making things happen, moving and shaking. I have been mostly homebound for a myriad of different reasons.
We did make that super sweet entertainment center for yourself.
We certainly did. I hand built a custom dog kennel piece of furniture for my home that I had to build in place because it's so big that there was no. There's no, it's never coming out again. Let's just put it that way. There's not a door in that house that can handle it. Yes. Yep. if the next owners, whatever, 5-10 years down the road are like, yeah, we don't have any dogs. Well, then put kids in it. I don't give a shit.
Right.
buy some dogs.
Keep your slaves in there, whatever. I mean that totally in a sexual way, as we all know. How
Get the gimp.
Right.
Wake him. Oh man. Oh yeah. Now I'm gonna have to watch Pulp Fiction again. Anytime somebody brings up Pulp Fiction in any sort of reference, which I just did to myself, my OCD goes off and says, "You have to watch it now." Like, oh, do I? Yeah, yep.
You know what's funny is Friday night, I've been moonlighting at a local bar on Friday and Saturday nights, and a couple women came in, and I have to do a bag check at the door. And looking in the bag, she goes, "You won't find anything in there. It may surprise you." And I was like, "What are you going to find? What am I going to find? A ball gag or something like that?" Just in a joking fashion, she pulled out a ball gag.
No, she did not.
Yes, she did.
Oh my God.
It's the greatest thing ever. The greatest thing ever. And she goes, "I could put it on you." And I was like, "No, but you could wear it later for me." And she blushed really hard, and then she walked away.
Yeah, well, as they do. And
My creepiness has no level.
Look, they came against the master, all right, and they weren't ready. They were found wanting.
And they were not prepared for my reaction.
Well, let's dive into this shit. I missed all of you so very much. And the sound of my own voice. Mostly the sound of my own voice.
Right.
You guys are cool, but I mean...
Right. The 12 of you that listen.
Putting my headset on and listening to myself again, I'm like, oh, yes, there you are.
Yeah. Well, you do have a sexy voice, so.
Yeah, but I don't have the type of voice that people are calling me and saying, hey, will you do voiceover work? Like you.
True. This is true.
Ass.
They're not calling me. They're just telling me I should do that. We
Well,
went to a sexual chocolate.
Let's do a little bit of a survey. We'll throw it up on our Facebook page. Who has the more sultry voice, Scotty Don't or Mr. Frost?
Just for reference,
Let the battle begin.
Here's a little growly for you.
Yeah, I mean,
See, you know.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it did it for me.
Oh God, we need to get on track here.
Okay. So like I say, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things have been going on. So now that we are back and back at it, what we really need is for everybody to take a second, hit the pause button, go to badguyforhire.com, find our Patreon link. It's a tab that you can click on, and please go subscribe to our Patreon. Throw some coins to your Witcher, and let us do what it is that we do best as we build this and we create, this ever-growing brand, if you will. We are going to be, really trying to make some movement. There's going to be a lot of moving and shaking over the next couple of weeks. And I mean, we can't do it without you. So
This kind of segues into what we're going to talk about tonight, to be very honest with you.
yes, foreshadowing.
Yes.
So as we push ourselves out of this C-130, please remember to like and subscribe,
Share
it,
share it far and wide.
leave a review, give us them 5 stars, whichever app that you're using. I think Apple Podcasts is the only one that actually has stars. But
They do reviews on just about everybody, though. You do get to rate the episodes or even the show.
yeah, except maybe Spotify.
I think Spotify you still can, but it's not. It's just like, do you like this or not? Or would you recommend it type of thing.
Yeah. So long story short, recommend the hell out of us.
Right.
Because if you are listening and
All 12 of you.
there's more than 12. I mean, let's not sell ourselves short. Okay. There's a solid,
I use that as a joke.
there's a solid listenership, and we appreciate every last one of you.
Right.
A fraction of you are Patreon subscribers, so fuck the rest of you. But
He's joking. We do appreciate you no matter what.
we do. We do appreciate you. So keep pushing that play button every episode. We're trying to come at you with everything that we can. I know I promised in the last episode that we were going to push more through the social engineering and the neurolinguistic programming and a handful of these other really great kind of mental kung fu, martial art, style things. But right now it's just not the time, because there is something else going on, and it has rubbed Mr. Frost the wrong way. And
Very much so.
I'm very guilty of this. So let me start with a mea culpa and apologize to my inner child about the fleeting thoughts that I had recently. So anybody who's even mildly watching their social media streams or the news, for that matter, have an understanding that right now the Ukraine is under siege from Big Daddy Russia. Russia. And with that comes a lot of different feelings. And my feelings on it are varied. There's a lot of, political things that go into it. There's a bunch of geopolitical, opinions all over the place. Most of them are wrong. And
On both sides or all sides.
oh yeah. And the libertarian in me just wants everybody to shake hands, make nice, don't hurt people, and don't take their stuff. Shout out to Matt Kibbe. And at the same time, I found myself like boiling over with a bunch of angst, to the point where I actually reached out to a couple of people to kind of field some questions regarding my suitability for.
And we both know it wasn't me that you reached out to.
Yeah, well, I mean, thankfully, I always reach out to people who tell me like it is.
I don't tell you how it is. That's bullshit.
No. The other half of that statement was going to be, I only keep people around me that tell me like it is.
I'm teasing you, and that's all I'm doing.
So, there was just something about everything that's going on that just did not sit right with me. Just the way this is all being handled. The way that, we look just so uncontrollably weak right now with the way that, our administration, is handling this whole crisis. And I really wanted to feel like I had some control in the situation. And I don't have any control over what's going on. I don't have any control of how this is all going to go down. And unfortunately, to the men, the women, the children over there in the Ukraine, I mean, you guys, it's up to you, because the people over here that really want to be about it, we are the people that understand what it takes, and the ones that don't understand what it takes are, in a lot of ways, the ones that want it the most. They want to be involved the most because they see what's happening. They want to feel like there's something that they can do about it. And I think they're missing the mark on what it is. Now, Mr. Frost had made a personal Facebook post regarding this. It was a video, and it
because I can't go live because
you're in that Facebook jail.
Yeah,
you're in it's no longer a Facebook jail for you. It's a Facebook dungeon.
Right.
Like just throw you in.
Just go chain yourself up
and lock throw away the key. Just deep in the dungeon.
Right.
I've been waiting to use that button for a while.
I was waiting for it.
So today, what we are going to talk about is a really hard truth. And the truth of the matter is that, right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm not ready. And you're not ready.
Let me kind of, I'll put a little short synopsis of what I posted. Pretty much what it comes down to is I love you all. I love you all my veterans and all my well-trained friends. Do not get me wrong, but we're not ready. We're not ready. Most of us that are veterans are complaining about the VA and how our knees don't work and our back's fucked up and we can't do this and we can't live our best life. But yet the minute conflict comes in because either you missed your potential Blackwater days or you missed your potential, olive branch or whoever it is that you fantasize about being a part of, it comes down to this. Most of us can't even climb 2 flights of stairs without being out of breath in gym shorts and a t-shirt. Let's throw some fucking kit, ammo, and food into that mix. Literally. Like, and then a weapon. Let's throw that into the mix too. And then have to be in conflict with anxiety. Now, adrenaline will go a long way. Don't get me wrong. But just like in the contract world, you have to think about it this way. Nobody's coming to save you. Big Daddy America isn't. You get snatched up by the Russians as an American. You're like the equivalent to an officer at wartime. You are a fucking prize. Plain and simple. I got an American. And our current administration is not going to send in the fucking Marines or the Army or anybody else to come fucking save you or negotiate for you. You're there. You're probably going to fucking die. And you're going to be drugged through the fucking streets or put on a fucking pig pole or whatever it is. But it's not going to end well for you. And for those of you that are in shape, great, good for you. Go handle business. By all means, go do that. But I need you all to remember, just because you went to Sheepdog, whatever, with Tim Kennedy and went through his course. Don't get me wrong, that's a hardcore course, but let's be honest, just because you went through that course doesn't mean you're capable.
There's a really big difference between what you are capable of at home, and what you are capable of in a combat environment. It's one thing to secure your house, to even look after your block, during some sort of time of civil unrest or, some sort of natural disasters blown through or whatever. And then try to compare that against being in a place where you don't speak the language
At all.
I
mean, there are quite a few people in the Ukraine who speak English, but far more that you will be working with do not.
And you don't have close air support. You don't have medevac, Casevac.
You don't have Gunny doing beans, bullets, and Band-Aids.
There's no supply trucks or supply drops. There's nothing.
I mean, if there is, it's very minimal compared to what you're used to.
You are not going to be able to call for fire. You are not going to be able to call for reinforcements. You don't have anything.
Right. And then you have to rely on a local community who in some areas are farmers. Like, don't get me wrong, they're super patriotic and they're stepping up and doing their thing, but they're farmers. The Ukraine is a huge agricultural environment. Like, that's what they do. Not that they're not badass fighters, but let's truly be honest.
Yeah, they've got them, but the Ukraine does not have a Second Amendment. They don't have a right to keep and bear arms,
right?
And the right to a well-organized militia. They're handing out rifles and weapons to people who have never handled them before.
Right.
Some of them have prior military service. I'm sure a lot of them, have, to one degree or another, some sort of time in, some sort of civil service or police service or something like that they're not going to blow their own face or foot off, but they are not wartime tacticians. Like, these are not the people that you're hoping to be to the left and to the right of you.
Right.
Now,
they will fight to the death with you because you're supporting their cause.
Sure.
But they're not. I'm only saying this out of, I don't know. Like, I really don't know because I've never been in that environment. But just looking at the populace and looking at the demographic and all of that stuff, because as much as I am not political, this really has fascinated me. Like, it just kind of, what kind of move is this? You know what I mean? Like, I just want to see this, how it is. But to be very honest with you, like, just looking around and looking and going, shit, they're going to start killing motherfuckers with scythes and fucking farm equipment. You know what I mean? Because that's what they have and that's what they know.
Right. This is going to be an incredibly unconventional conflict. And, these people are going to have to learn on the fly.
Guerrilla warfare like a motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Reinventing the wheel.
Right. And if somebody who has some kind of tactical sense, some of you may think, oh, we can go in there and crush it. Well, now you're used to left a foot, right a line situation where you have sergeant or staff sergeant passing down orders, passing down intel. That's not the case anymore. You don't have that. You have, we see troops coming into town, or we see, the tanks rolling in. Oh shit, what do we do?
Yeah. And you've had Russia preparing for decades, building up armament, building up technology, communications.
Right.
Do not fool yourselves. They are a police state. They are a surveillance state. They have what they need to listen to your cell phone. They have what they need to listen to your shortwave communication devices. You are not operating in the dark.
Right.
Or in secret. you are operating basically plain text for everyone to hear, for everyone to see.
World War I style fucking fighting almost.
Yeah. I mean, the weapons have changed, but the tactics are not.
Right.
Like you are going to have to learn how to ambush and break contact over and over and over again and hope to survive long enough in a war of attrition to maybe push them out over time and just make it not worth it. This is not some sort of like, I'm going to go over there for 3 months. I'm going to go shoot, move, and communicate with some cool bros. I'm going to get some, Russian war trophies, and I'm going to come back a hero. You're probably going to fucking die.
Right.
And I'm sorry.
That's the truth of it. As much as I'd like to be that, look at me, I'm a cool dude, I'm fucking tactically sound. Me personally, sure, do I want to get some? Of course I do.
Yeah.
Just because that's what I live for.
Hell yeah.
But
Wage war and stack bodies.
But my whole point is that, I'm that guy that can't climb 2 flights of stairs. I smoke a pack of cigarettes a day. I'm trying to quit, but I'm not doing it. That's the truth of it, is I'm not doing it. So I'm in a situation where like my mind says yes, but my body says, fuck you.
Yeah.
This is not happening. You're not sleeping out in the cold. Let's talk about that too. It's not fucking warm right now there.
It's not going to get warm for a while.
Right. So
The Ukraine is right next to Russia.
it's fucking cold.
It's cold.
Oh, and then throw that kit with warm weather gear. You're moving slower.
Yeah.
Like it's just,
Oh,
there's no resupply point of like, oh, I need grenades. Cool. I'll go over here to the fob.
Yeah. And while bombs are dropping, you have to realize that bomb isn't just blowing up, the security checkpoint, 2 blocks down. It just detonated the main water line to the town.
Right. Now you have no fresh water.
There's no fresh water. You're going to be running, on hopes and dreams for being able to find somewhere to charge electronic equipment. Like there's too many variables, and it only took 10 minutes of me feeling my feelings to have some of my buddies set me straight. I got a really good buddy of mine who he just retired from the Marine Corps. He put in more than 20 years, and his last stint was doing recruiting.
Right.
And I hit him up and I was like, all right, hypothetically, right? Because every good conversation starts with the word hypothetically.
Asking for a friend.
Hey, hypothetically, let's say this gets particularly froggy and they institute a draft. My opinion has always been, for the last number of years, if they instituted a draft, yeah, I'm fat, yeah, I'm slow, my knee hurts, my back hurts, but I have been training year after year after year, weapons, tactics, booby traps, sabotage, social engineering, spycraft, anything I can get my hands on, right? I'm probably 1,000 times more combat effective
Tactically, maybe.
in my head with what I know than any 18-year-old they're going to call up on the draft.
Right.
Some half blonde, half blue haired, TikTok dancing, they, them motherfucker. And that's not an insult. I'm just saying, like, that's what we have these days. Right. Some soy boy running around yelling T-shirt time Friday afternoon before they go bug, Mr. Frost at the bar and try to get in a fight with a biker gang.
That did happen. Anyways.
There was something inside me that always said, you know what, if it ever gets to that point, look, throw me a uniform. I'm not shaving the beard. I'm not cutting the hair, but let me go, whip this on.
Yeah. But how much more effective would you be here if it does come to here? And
right.
that's where I really kind of feel like that's where people need to be.
And that was the conversation I ended up having with my buddy. He's like, look, dude, I love you and I respect you and I know what you can do and what you're capable of. However, this isn't one, it's not your fight, right? And it's not gonna be for probably a long time.
Right.
And number two, like, you know, we've got different things we can do. We've got lots of tools in the tool belt before we ever get to that. And should it ever come down to it, you need to be here to be, you know, that guide to other people and help your community, help your family, your friends. You're somebody who knows how this works, why it works, and can provide, you know, that support and training while everybody else's, you know, sons and brothers are going off to go do it.
Right. And I totally agree with that, because I strongly feel that, you know, eventually there's going to be a move. There's going to be a shift. Somebody's going to get brave and try and come to the U.S. I see it being inevitable. I'm not saying it's going to be effective.
Well, it's inevitable, but
I'm just saying maybe not in my time, but I kind of feel like having the skills that you and I do possess, being able to really find those people that want to learn this stuff and need to learn this stuff, those are the people that I want in my camp.
right.
And I want to be able to share that with them and be able to share that information so that when and if or whatever happens to come along, those people have those skills
Exactly.
and can build off of those skills long after I'm gone and then keep passing them down.
So basically, I think what I really want to say is that, you know, we are here with the intent to help build up everyone who is not going to go, right? If anyone went, right? Because I heard today somewhere Biden sending another 17,000 troops overseas, you know, in the bordering countries. It may already be written in stone what's going to happen. And maybe it does. Maybe, you know, we do commit troops, boots on the ground, and this does start to get to be a pretty hairy situation. Here's the problem. While they're over there doing what they do, the geopolitics are thus. China, they are who they are, and they're looking at the same political map that Putin is. And they're seeing, you know, and when I say our, I mean, you know, because we all get roped in together. Our elected officials are our elected officials.
Hey, whether you like it or not,
Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Daddy Biden is Daddy Biden.
He is yo daddy.
And it doesn't matter how you look at it. It doesn't matter if you claim it or whatever. It still comes down to that's who's in control of those moves.
And he was in charge of putting everybody in his cabinet into place, putting, you know, the UN, you know, secretary into that place. And this is going to be the dinner party that we set, right?
Right.
So it's going to come down to a point where there's going to be a lot of things happening in a lot of places. World War II was hell, and it took a lot of lives, and it might have even, in some respects, it pushed us, you know, through the industrial age and into a technological age, and in a lot of ways, it you know, pushed us even further back in a lot of different ways. You know, this whole Russia thing should have been solved then.
Agreed.
And it wasn't. And so, you know, here we are reaping seeds that were sown a long time ago. So I think it's really important that each and every one of you takes the time to step up your own game. Not because you're going to go overseas and go fight the Russians in Ukraine. Put Duolingo down. You know, you're not learning, you know, Russian in 2 or 3 weeks enough to be combat effective and be able to coordinate with, you know, the locals and be able to collect and distribute intelligence and be effective. It's not going to happen. But it might be, it's not just who of you, like it might be really, really vital that you learn the hard points in your house, that you learn who your neighbors are and what they're capable of. And we've been talking about this before, and we've made mention not only our willingness and our ability to train you, but also to consult on a whole myriad of different aspects that you might not have considered. It's time to go to the range.
Yeah, it's definitely time to go to the range. I really kind of feel like physical fitness is a huge thing. It's a huge thing. Those of you who know me personally know that I've been for the last year being pretty diligent about 2-a-days type of thing. I really need to focus on my diet. I think everything will really kind of hone in when I really focus on that diet and get rid of these stupid fucking cigarettes. Anyways, like I'm just beating myself up with it. But anyhow, I'm not going to dwell on the whole cigarette thing, but I am going to say, like, get in shape. Everybody says, "Oh, you don't understand. You don't get it." If you're a veteran, fuck you. You know what I'm talking about. You don't need to go to a gym. You don't need to make $1 million fucking dollars. You don't have to go to the most expensive gym. Calisthenics. I was 7% body fat when I was in the Marine Corps just from calisthenics and eating as clean as I possibly could. You know what I mean? Like, it's that simple. And you can pull up just about anything on YouTube, Google, or whatever platform you want to do. And you can find a workout program that doesn't cost you a fucking dime. And I'll tell you this right now. My mental clarity has changed dramatically since that whole situation of me choosing to start going to the gym, and ultimately has probably made me more money because of it. Because I have a mentality of, oh, I'm worth this. Now I can go and say, you know, somebody offers a job that's like, oh, it pays $20 an hour. Hey, bro, you know, I respect that that's what you want to pay me, but my skill set and what I'm capable of, this, I have no problem saying, well, I'm not Paul Blart. Where in the past, it's like, I'm a fat dude. I got a big beard. Yeah, I got some skills, whatever. But now I can turn around and really honestly say to myself and to those around me, hey, I'm worth this. I'm worth more. I have this skill set. And in the long term, it will make you more money.
Know your worth and add tax.
Exactly. I love saying that.
And I mean, to that point, I think it's very important that people really take a hard look in the mirror, because whether it's the need for physical fitness, whether it's the need to, for the sake of losing weight or for being, more combat effective, whether it's, hitting the range and doing, tactics and maneuvers and things like that, you need to understand what you are capable of and be honest, right? Because you may not be capable of much.
Right. I'll be honest with you. Like, I couldn't do a running range right now, 100-yard range. I couldn't do I'm up, he sees me, I'm down, just drawing.
Range 429 palms.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I know that I physically could not do that.
Yeah, I'd have a heart attack and die on the 100-yard line.
Right. But the whole point is that I'm being honest with myself. A couple years ago, I had a really good friend, Mr. Silvers. If you're listening to this, he's one of my mentors. He's also a really good friend. He's a fellow veteran. He literally told me, let's face it, bro. They called you up tomorrow and said, we want you to go over here and do this. Can you really do it? And it fucking kicked me in the nuts of my ego. I was like, oh yeah. And he was like, bro, you can't even come to one of my jujitsu classes and roll for 3 minutes. Like, you really think you could do that? And my ego was so fucking shut down that I literally stopped talking to him for probably 3 months. And now I'm like, Fuck, he's right.
Yeah.
He's right. Like,
And it hurts.
yeah, it hurts bad.
Dude, it hurts. Like, I was ready to dive into this like heavy rant with one of my buddies, because Mr. Frost and I are in this little chat group together, and I kind of fielded this question about what do we do from here? Where do we go from here? And one of my other buddies, God love him, he basically said, like, for real, dude, like, shut the fuck up. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? And I was ready to just like lay it down, like, oh yeah, well, I do this and I do that and I do this, but also, like, I need a nap.
Right. You need a nap after
Like,
just
half my combat load is Swiss cake rolls.
right. You're getting worked up, and you're like
power bars don't have enough.
I'm fucking tired just getting worked up about this conversation. I need a nap. God damn it.
Yeah, I'd have a bag of like I would be putting magazines of ammo down to make sure I had more Built bars.
Right.
Because that's where I would be at,
I need that Jiffy peanut butter. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, it's just spoonfuls of it.
and Oreo cookies. Like,
Yeah, just to keep me sane, from the caloric withdrawal headaches.
and don't forget your rock stars.
Oh, dude, like they're gonna have to airdrop me Rippets. I don't know how I'm gonna like
Right.
Hunger Games style. Like I just need a personal airdrop of Rippets just to survive.
To survive, not to be effective, just to survive.
And I don't think people are taking a hard enough look in the mirror, because I'm going to beat my chest for a second. Okay. Mr. Frost and I, we know a lot of cool people. Okay.
A lot of cool people, actually.
I am not one of the cool guys. I never was one of the cool guys. I didn't do the cool guy shit.
Neither did I.
I got to bear witness to some of it, and I got to hold hands with some people while they were doing it.
And we still hold hands with some of the people that do it.
And like, we're in these groups and chats and all sorts of stuff, and there are messages coming across where people have legitimate connections to go.
Right.
Like, hey, I need some bodies that can be there in 24 hours. And my thumbs were so hot.
Right. Like,
I was just like,
shit. Oh, shit. It's coming. It's here. It's here.
like, fuck, just like rip the Velcro off of my nipple covers and like start stroking my ego.
Right.
Like this, I could,
Right.
but I can't.
Right. And
That's the thing of it is
it's hard. It's hard to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow.
and you have to know yourself well enough and check your ego, put it all on the table and say, could I really? Because there are people over there doing it right now. I've seen the pictures.
yeah,
I've seen the intel.
Yeah.
There are United States citizens over there right now
Doing legit shit.
doing legit shit. However, they are in a position of serious risk because maybe their babushka, is still over there and they're first or second generation, whatever.
Right. And respect to you.
Right.
100%.
And if if you grew up in Oregon or Washington State where Russian is still, the second most spoken language in the region,
Right.
like you may have legitimate connections, legitimate military training. You're still combat fit enough to be able to go over there and do what you got to do, and it looked like by all accounts, some of the pictures I was looking at, like, these guys were, pulling their uniforms out of the closet and just ready to go.
And that's dope.
And that is dope. However, they are not in a position to be covered in the way that they are used to being covered.
Right.
And they're going to have to learn some really hard lessons. And I really hope that they were paying attention, or were within the right teams and units to understand asymmetric warfare, to understand guerrilla warfare and how to teach that to the people that are there and build up the people around them, because they should not be running to the front line. They should be trying to help the farmers and the bakers and the candlestick makers,
Right.
to get them ready to be able to defend their home front.
The general populace.
Right. Because all they're going to end up being when Big Daddy Russia is carpet bombing the shit out of that place and rolling tanks through homes. Like the only thing they're going to be is in a body bag wearing a toe tag on their way home.
Yeah, next to everybody else, if they even get sent home.
Right.
To be honest with you, because I mean, I'm only going by speculation, but I kind of feel like Big Daddy Russia is just that way. Like they're still that.
They'll throw all the bodies in a pit. They don't give a shit.
I don't give a fuck about you, like regardless of Geneva Convention or anything like that. Fuck off.
No, they are 100% like the type of people that, you know, build up the mass graves all day.
Right.
They don't care. And some do. And I know some Ukrainians and I know some Russians, and I understand how this is all going down. But at the end of the day, it's about who's your daddy.
Right.
Putin is Russia's daddy, and they're going to have to do what Putin says, and the oligarchs.
Right.
You know, Russian or Ukrainians, it's the same deal. You know, they play by a different set of rules over there. Their culture is different. And they are in the position that they're in for 1,000 different geopolitical reasons, right? And so this just is not the time, you know, for a bunch of us to jump on.
A bunch of us, because we all fall into that boat.
Yeah.
And I'm right there with all of you. I really am, that are excited about it and stuff like that. But I do have to apologize in the podcast as you hear me, because I just caught myself doing it because I'm excited about it.
I thought you were just getting winded because
right. I've been sitting here for too long. Like, I'm already sweating.
I lifted my arms too fast and now I got to catch my breath.
Right. But ultimately what it kind of comes down to is it is us. Like, it's us. And I feel I'm so passionate about this, of like, get over your fucking ego. Like, you want to be a useful part of this, honestly, be useful in your community.
Right.
I'm gonna fucking probably step out here in a little bit of a political rant, and I swear to God, I'm sorry.
Don't do it.
I'm sorry.
We're apolitical.
Mr. Scotty and
Hey,
Mr. Valentine.
The promises were made from you, or from me to you, that I wouldn't get political.
Right. But I'm not going to go with political sides or anything like that. But Mr. Valentine, I'm sorry, because I know I made you guys swear on your deathbeds that you wouldn't get super political. But if you are not involved in your communities, and you are not involved in local communities that are going to help make decisions in larger communities, in your state, in your county, in your city,
Talking about elections.
things like that, electing people that can have an influence in Washington that will affect the nation. If you're not involved with that shit and actually really paying attention to it, look at where we are. We have elected officials that are letting other countries pretty much call us weak, useless, whatever you want to call it. We're handing down sanctions.
Shitty ones.
Oh no, we're handing down sanctions that they clearly don't give a fuck about anyways. Like,
that have never proven to work in all of the historical economic sanctions.
we're going to fine you. Okay, whatever.
It didn't do anything to Japan.
Right.
It didn't do anything to Maoist China. It didn't do anything, to Hitler. Nothing.
Right. So my point is get involved. Get involved. Start educating people, not in a negative way of like your way of thinking is fucking stupid, but let's come together and make some fucking actual educated decisions here. Everybody says, oh, Trump. That's cool. Cheeto Man is your guy.
I think you said Trump so many times that we just got deplatformed from everywhere.
Right.
The algorithm kicked in. They were like, oh man, these guys.
But I mean, do I think Trump is the answer? No, I don't think he's the answer. But do I think Biden is our answer? Definitely not. Do I think that the current administration is not? No, I don't. But we need to find a more middle ground, not this, as Scotty Don't says, soy boy or, half green hair, half blonde hair. I don't really care. I'm that dude. Like literally I'll run around in a fucking tutu with 4 different colors of hair. I don't care what you look like, but let's have some fucking common ground and not be fighting each other, because this diversity that we have going on in this nation right now is what's making us fucking weak. And we're allowing
diversity of thought, not
not diversity,
not an ethnic diversity.
Yeah, most definitely. But
But
that's the thing, is everybody's making it an ethnic diversity too. Like, I don't give a fuck if you're black, white, Hispanic, fucking Asian, Hindi, fucking, whatever. Like, it gets me so worked up to see people get so out of place about, oh, you're not identifying what my cultural background is. You're American. You're a fucking human. I'm going to treat you as such. You're going to treat me like shit. I'm going to treat you like shit. It doesn't matter what color your skin is.
Yeah.
If you're a shitty person to me, I'm going to be a shitty person to you. So if we can agree to disagree and say, hey, this isn't working, whatever is happening, we need to find some fucking common ground here.
Yeah. The political elites, right, our political betters, if you will, they just came out.
Better than me.
Well, yeah, they certainly think so. They just came out, and nationwide right now, the mandates and the masking and, the vaccine passports and everything are falling away. It is such a toxic and unpopular system of, it's a fascistic system. I hate it when people use the F word, but it is. It's a fascistic, it's a fascist level.
I didn't even know that was a word. But I know it is. I'm gonna have to look at it. It's been a bad place that we've been in for the last 2+ years. Right.
And now it's all going to fall off. One, because it's not politically sound, and the people who've put them all in place understand that they're about to get pushed out of office. Maybe likely not for the better, because it's 2 sides of the same turd.
Right.
But we have to put all of that away. We have to stop yelling at each other in the grocery store about who is and who isn't right. What Cheeto Man said in his new social media app he just created, which, oh my God, I can't believe Cheeto Man in Chief literally created his own social media app so he couldn't get deplatformed. I can't begin to, it's a whole nother rant. But and you can't harbor all this hatred to our soy boy, half blue hair, fork tongued, pierced eyelid, homeboys either.
Some of those chicks are hot, though. I'm gonna say I'm gonna take it down a notch.
Hey, don't assume their gender, bro. Come on, get woke. We have to put all that bullshit aside.
I just got put in my place.
We have to put all that bullshit aside and realize that in times like this, we are all Americans. Just like Mr. Frost was saying. I've had this conversation in depth with my extended family on my wife's side. My wife is Hispanic. She was born in Mexico. And I've had long, drawn out conversations with people, not only with her, with her side of the family, but also brothers and sisters of mine from the Marine Corps. Once you're here, I don't care where you came from. I don't care what level of melanin you have in your skin. You are an American. You are a part of this system,
Right.
And this machine. And
be proud of where you came from. I have no 100%. Bring your cultural stuff, because a lot of that stuff is fucking cool. Bring your food.
Yeah.
Taste
as we talk about how fat we are.
Food.
Bring the food.
Yeah, but let's think about it. Let's look at Hispanic food from Mexico. How fresh it is. If it was actually fresh, we probably wouldn't be near as fat as we are.
Yeah, that's true. You're not wrong.
The flour tortillas versus the corn tortilla.
Oh, right. Especially like the ancestral corn tortillas.
Right. Let's
Pinot Bleu.
Yeah, let's look at
Shout
stuff.
out to Pinot Bleu.
Let's talk about, Italy and France. Even though I don't really care for France, But, you know, everywhere else in the world, they have to go to the grocery store twice a week because the food goes fucking bad.
Yeah, it's not sprayed and everything.
You can go to the store once a month in the U.S. if you can afford it, and your food will last an entire month, if not longer, because of all the additives and preservatives that we put in our fucking shit.
Right. And so
that comes with diet.
We have to come full circle again back to where we were. Now, I'm not talking about some of the sideways shit from like World War II era. Okay. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how we need to encircle each other like 9/11 or 9/12, really.
Right.
That next day, everybody was American. The American flag fucking meant something to you. And today, when you look around, you've got HOAs trying to, you know, force veterans to bring down, you know, their American flags, and patriots to bring down their American flags because somehow the American flag has turned into some sort of symbol of oppression
or hate.
It's hate speech. We have to get away from this and get back to a place where we all had something we could all come around on and say, you know what? It's not a perfect system, but the United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, like this is a foundation that now Jim Crow's over, right? There is nothing on the books. We have flushed them and vetted them for decades. There's nothing left on the books that is inherently on its own racist. It may be played up in a certain way, and it might be skewed, you know, and enforced in different ways. And in those situations, when you can point them out, I will fight right alongside with you to tear down whatever it is. But we have to get back to a place where we're like, hey, we're on the same team, because if it does come over here, if it does happen here, we need to get back to that place where the mentality of our enemies was, oh, this would be a really bad idea to invade U.S. soil because behind every blade of grass is a person with a gun.
Right.
How many of you have shot a gun this month?
It's not even really, you know, I agree with you, but even having that mentality and that ability, I don't think that everybody necessarily has to have a gun. It's not all about the pew pew. I will say that. I know it makes a lot of people cringy, but you know, I'm a firearms instructor. I teach firearms. I teach tactics, but what I really would like to see is, you know, people even getting back to knowing your community in your neighborhood. When I was younger, even though I hopped from house to house to house to house in a foster care system or a group home, it never failed. Like everybody knew who everybody was. Whether they got along or not, that's a whole different story. But they knew Mrs. Jenkins down the street. They knew Mr. Smith up the street. They knew the neighbor. They knew what everybody does, not in their business, but they knew, hey, this guy is an accountant. This lady's a stay-at-home mom. Those type of things, and being able to wave at each other and not be like, who the fuck's this motherfucker next door? You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's how this is, even in my own neighborhood. I don't know who my neighbors are. Of course, I get some really serious dirty looks from a lot of them because for whatever reason, I don't know. I would just be assuming, but
I'd give you dirty looks if I didn't know you.
Right. And I'm sure most people do because I do have that resting serial killer face. But at the same time, you know, I look out for my neighborhood too. What a lot of them don't understand that. I got kids that run around and up and down the street. I live at the top of a pretty much closed off, I wouldn't call it a cul-de-sac, but it's pretty shut off. But I'm aware of who's going up and down the street. I'm aware of the cops are going up and down and kind of what's going on. But I don't know any of my fucking neighbors. And that's sad.
Can I help rectify this maybe? So food is love. Okay. And some people will understand this. Ann and Mikey, Thane, Dana. Food is love. And I have this thing built into me from, previous generations where I go to my neighbors when I move into a place and I bring them food. Technology, the way that it is, not only has it separated us in immense and wide ways, but it also has connected us in a lot of ways.
Right.
There's an app called Neighbors.
Oh yeah, I've seen that
by Ring.
So part of that.
Right. So like the Ring doorbells, the Ring alarm systems, they are not a sponsor of the show. So
whatever.
Maybe one day. But the Neighbors app is a social media app. It's a connectivity communications app for your neighborhood. If you can go, first of all, find out if you're an HOA, if you're not in an HOA, print out some flyers, some letters, and go hand deliver them to your neighbors. It doesn't have to be with food, even though food is love. And introduce yourself and see if you can't talk your neighbors into downloading this app with you. It's amazing because if a suspicious person has driven up and down your particular sector of your neighborhood, you can drop a note to everyone and say, hey, does anybody know who drives this, gray Nissan, whatever? It's an older guy with glasses.
Right. And it's not being the fucking nosy Karen. That's not the mentality of it. It's literally looking out for each other.
Legitimate concerns. Like, hey, I had a package that said it was delivered today and I got home, no package on my front doorstep. Did anybody see anything?
Right.
Right. Oh, you know what? It got delivered over here. I was wondering, you typed in the address wrong, whatever. I'll run it over you. I didn't realize,
right,
who it was. I didn't put the two and two together. There's 1,000 different things you can communicate to each other through this, but it's a great way to start building up your local network. Where are your veterans? Where are your retired police chiefs, your retired law enforcement officers? Who's your current law enforcement officers, firefighters, people who are EMT certified? Who are the nurses, the doctors, the lawyers?
Right, especially in your neighborhood.
Yeah, just in that little tiny micro community. Get together, build from the ground up. Because if you have a strong foundation, everything else can be built up from there. And it's like Mr. Frost was saying, like it starts at home. It's your local officials who become your state representatives, who go on to be your national, state representatives. Like that person right now in city council, it might be pining for the day that they go and move to the state Senate. And then they move from the state house or Senate and they get bumped all the way up to a senator or a congressperson, and they go to DC
or whatever,
right? Or governor. This is where they start. A lot of them, if they didn't go to Harvard, or Yale or Princeton or something like that, like that, they gotta work a little harder. Start vetting the people here now to make sure that you're finding the right people, so that we don't end up in with the problems that we have like we do now. Well,
and then look at it from a perspective of your kids. Everybody's looking out for your kids. They know who your kids are. If you allow your kids to be outside, which they should be outside, and I really hate social media and technology for that matter.
Kick them out right now, lock the door, and tell them not to come back till dinner.
Right. But those are words that I think somebody could take that are in this room. Anyways, yeah, he's looking around. Anyhow, but I have this strong, neighbors looking out for your kids, of even them just walking home and somebody was being like kind of creepy and maybe following them home. If your kids know who your neighbors are and they're aware and it's kind of a safe environment, it's easy for one of the neighbors to be like, oh, I don't see any cars in the driveway. Hey guys, come in here. You know what I mean? This is kind of a safe place. Or come in the yard and start talking to them, you know, even if it's them just talking, the neighbors talking to your kids outside where they're not going into the home where there's potential risk, it still keeps them safe. And I think that that's a huge thing in communities, because it is like back in the day of, that's what made it safe to go play out in the streets. That's what it made it safe to be, you know, playing and riding your bikes up and down the neighborhood, because everybody knew who you were. You knew whose kid belonged to who. Whether you got along with them or if they were assholes or not, you still knew, oh, there's that kid that broke our window last week throwing a baseball back and forth with whoever.
And they're back at it again.
Yeah, they're back at it, but they still know who they are.
Yeah.
And it keeps the community safe. And then it also turns into, well, now day and age of people walking into people's garages and stealing shit. Hey, you know, I'm not putting blame on your kid, but I saw him running around with a group of kids I didn't recognize, and now I'm missing this. Well, now you can go to your kid and be like, listen, maybe snitches get stitches, but I'm going to tell you right now, the stitches you receive from me, from stealing from the neighbors because they worked hard for that, are going to be a lot worse than the stitches you get from them.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying abuse is great, but I'm just saying, you know, we need to be a little harder and a little rougher on kids.
So,
Stern, I guess I should say.
I don't know. At the end of the day, I just think we all need to be a little bit more introspective, including myself. I need to work harder at understanding my limitations, at understanding my personal capabilities, and then building up my weaknesses, strengthening, you know, those so they're not, you know, such a hindrance, and realizing what my real strengths are, and using those, you know, to be the person that I want to be. It doesn't take strapping on a pack and running out to the Ukraine.
Right. And I think that
we're not gun running, you know, weapons to Taiwan as much as I would like to.
that sounds like a good time, to be honest with you. But I mean, that's the thing, is I look at you as a person and being like, you're a leader. Like, people look to you for advice. You're a great person. And I think that if you built on those strengths of literally being that voice and being that person of, hey, I'm going to set the example. Great. I have the mentality that I could fucking run and gun. Cool. I'm going to be about that mentality of run and gun, and I'm going to put myself in that situation to where locally, if I have to, or, you know, maybe the time does come where maybe something miraculous happens and we are in that situation where we can say, hey, somebody wants us to kid up and go. We could, but that's on us. That's not on anybody else. We can't put the blame of those Swiss Miss fucking donut holes or fucking roll up chocolate fucking deliciousness, or, you know, the moon pies or whatever it is, the bonbons. You know, I'm eating clean, I'm eating healthy, I'm going to the gym, or I'm working out at home doing calisthenics. I'm practicing drawing, I'm practicing reloading, I'm practicing all these things. I'm practicing booby traps. I'm practicing, you know, outside the box things of, I don't know, blowing up rooms or something. Who knows?
Dead space. I threw you off your game. I'm sorry.
You did. You took a picture, and I don't know if it was me, but it probably looks like I'm sucking the microphone stick. Anyways, but I honestly kind of, I strongly feel like, be a leader in your community. If you're not going to be able to run a gun, honestly, get to the point where you can run a gun and get. And if you can't, because of physical limitations, at least be the best version of you that you can be. And I really think that comes with health and mindfulness. I got a buddy, his name's Jeff Theorell. He does Jeffy Fitness, if you want to look him up. He currently is running, I think he and another one of his buddies are framing houses and building things and doing great things, but he is also a very attractive, very strong man who is fitness minded. They can get you on the right track. I have a lot of other friends that are that way too, you know, and I've hit them up for years of like, bro, I want to be jacked. I want to look good. I want to break necks and all that stuff of, you know, how I look. But ultimately, my ego says, oh, I can do this. I can do this. They give me a few words of advice. I'm like, oh, yeah. And then what do? I go back to eating
Swiss cake rolls.
Yeah. Taco Bell. You know,
Yeah.
I'm eating the garbage. I'm eating McDonald's. I'm eating all that crap. When ultimately it just turns into drink more water and be mindful of what I'm fucking putting in my mouth.
Yes.
I know you really.
Yeah.
I know you want to
Stop it. Don't. This is a clean place.
that sexual chocolate's coming out.
Yeah. So
I could talk about this for hours. I know we're starting to get past that 1 hour mark.
yeah, I just want to leave y'all with now more than ever. Think about what's going on and try to put yourself in that position. The Ukraine is happening whether you wanted it to or not. Okay. How do the locals feel? How would you feel if you were local and all of a sudden some great has-been superpower is plowing through, you know, the borders and your gates? Like, would you be ready today if that was happening here? Full Red Dawn, right?
Wolverine.
The Chinese, the North Koreans, the Russians. It doesn't matter if Vikings, you know, sailed ashore and started taking over freaking Soho. Like, are you ready? Like, are you ready for what's coming inevitably with what's happening now? The economy, like, prices are going to go up. You're going to have to learn how to rub 2 pennies together and make a dime.
Right.
The gas prices are going to go up. We're still buying gas from Russia today.
Right.
Like, and at some point it's going to be unpalatable for this administration to continue to do stuff like that and talk out of both sides of their mouth, which means the call to action is going to come to all of, you know, some of my favorite people, which are the oil and gas, you know, roughnecks, and they're going to have to go back to work, but that takes time.
Right.
They have to go retap these places and start building up, you know, and trucking it around the country. Before all of that can get spun up, maybe your gallon of milk is going to be $10. You know, maybe your eggs.
Welcome to Hawaii.
Yeah. You know, maybe, you know, the basic needs are going to go up in spite of,
well,
and because of things like inflation,
right,
and our fiat currency. And
well, I'm going to say this for some people who don't know, but some eggs are imported, and guess where they come from? The Ukraine. Guess where most of the grain and flour come from? One of the biggest distributors is the Ukraine.
yeah,
Those things that are not as expensive right now, other than because of logistics, are going to become more expensive than you can imagine.
we have a lot less wheat fields than watching, you know, 80s and 90s movies may have led you to believe. Most of Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas is corn and soy.
Right.
So
because the government has stepped in and say, hey,
subsidies.
Don't grow this. Don't grow this. We'll pay you some money to not grow this. And now where are we at?
Yep.
We got a whole bunch of fucking corn.
Yep. Got a lot of corn. And I hate to break it to you, but what do we do with cows before we slaughter them? We feed them with corn. So I don't think you really want to add that to your plate. And start grain finishing us, before the Chinese roll ashore. A little less doomsday. Just be introspective, put your ego down and look into who you are and what you want to do and start taking some steps to do it. Go take some training. We've harped about this a dozen times. I'm going to harp about it some more. Whatever it is, it's the first or the second week of June. Go to onpointtactical.com and why don't you come meet us in June in Salt Lake City and learn how to be more personally competent. Build up your street smarts. It's called Urban Escape and Evasion. He's got the Urban Escape and Evasion class, the Urban E&E Advanced class. There's a bunch of stuff that rolls.
Excited about.
There's a bunch of stuff that rolls after that. I don't think he has the Urban Scout class, but there's an Urban. I think there's like an intelligence one, and there's something else. Anyway, go to the website, get signed up, come meet us out there with Kevin Reeve. He's been on the show before. Amazing guy. He's a wealth of knowledge. Do something for yourself that's going to do something for yourself later. That's going to do something for your family, for your neighborhood. Like, let's start getting to that level. Stop looking at the Ukraine with thirsty lips, and start looking at home and preparing, for being here and taking care of what's important here. And that's something I had to do this week.
And I will say, my thoughts and prayers are going out to those people in the Ukraine. I'm by no means saying that they are not, out of my thoughts, but we really need to start focusing here on home, and we need to stop being the world police. I think our hearts and our minds are in the right place, but I think that we need to redirect that energy back home.
I tend to agree. The libertarian in me says this one's not ours. Let's see what happens. It may come down to, some serious, strategy on the part of, the people in high places that poop their pants in the Vatican. Looking at you, Mr. Biden. So
anyways,
if we've said anything of value today, it would just be, take care of yourselves, take care of your family,
get rid of your ego and start taking care of yourself. Stop trying to compare yourself to everybody else and who you used to know. Be about you. Be the best version of you that you can be. And I promise you, things will get better.
All right, let's blow the door and get the fuck out of here. All right, guys, we are not going to drop off the map again as we have in the last 4 weeks. Whoopsie. So stay tuned for more episodes. We are going to be punching them out left and right. Try to keep up if you can. Go to patreon.com/oppositional forces, or you can go to badguyforhire.com, and there you will find our link to Patreon. You will also find a link to be able to contact us with comments and good advice and questions, and take a poke around that website. Maybe give us some ideas of what you want to see, what you want to hear. We are certified for the state of Utah for concealed weapon permits. We are here to do just that. You want a private class? Hey, get some of you and your family or your friends together. We will do a private class for you. We will get you certified. We also do live fire training. We also provide a whole myriad of other things. If you take a look at the website, it's all there. So big shout out to our executive producer, Thomas Larson, big love, always.
Big love.
You the man. We want to make sure that people have what they need. And so part of what we do here is trying to make sure that people understand that, you know, our major focus is not just to jaw on at each other on a podcast. We do this stuff in real life. So hit us up. Let us know what we can do to help you. We are full-time security consultants and security professionals. And if we can, and if you are either willing to flip the bill for us to go across the country, or if you are local, we are more than happy to come into your home and show you the things that you may not know yourself about where you are and where you live.
And the things.
And the things and the stuff. So we love you, and we will catch you on the flip side. Thank you for listening to Oppositional Forces, Wage War, and Stack Bodies.